The X being the frequency of the tone coming out of my voice, the Y being time, and the Z being the amplitude of the frequency.
Are you talking extra slow because I'm a girl, or because you like to watch it do things as you speak?
Probably the latter. Definitely not the former.
Good answer.
Welcome to the Toronto Beer Podcast. I don't even know where we are right now. I think I said season 2, episode 2 or something like that. It's another episode. And here is my friend, Mandie Murphy.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
I am good. We just overcame some technological problems, so I'm feeling like we really hammered that nail home. We got that sorted out.
Only took us a short 27 minutes this time.
How did you enjoy Cask Days?
It's always a great time. Had a really nice time. We did the Brewer's brunch on Saturday. It was beautiful. The fried chicken is to die for. It was the Brando's fried chicken. It was awesome. And this year I ate a lot of chicken in general, actually. Chicken for the breakfast, chicken at the festival on Saturday, and then 2 more servings of chicken, which are 2 servings each, so 4 more pieces of chicken on Sunday. So I think I ate more chicken than I drank beer, but all in all, it was a great time.
Wow, that is a lot of chicken.
It was so good, though.
Which chicken did you say at the breakfast? Nando's?
Brando's fried chicken.
Brando's fried chicken. Where's that? Or do you know? Am I putting you on the spot here?
Yeah, he does I believe he just does pop-up food events like that. But the guy behind the whole thing has done fried chicken at some of the best restaurants in the city, and I think he's branched out on his own to do this just strictly the chicken piece of it.
And he does like Southern fried chicken?
Yeah, it's like a buttermilk fried chicken.
Were there waffles with the chicken?
Nope, just chicken.
Just chicken. Just some fried chicken for breakfast.
And lunch and dinner.
And lunch and dinner. Did you have some hot sauce on it?
I did, yeah.
What kind of hot sauce?
And
like a Louisiana
some
style?
of their own. Actually, no, they did Frank's hot sauce, and you could also have some buttermilk sauce on top. So it was pretty delicious.
That does sound delicious. Speaking of delicious, do you know what I'm drinking right now?
I don't, but I think you're going to tell me.
You and everybody listening. I'm having this Blue Mountain Lager from Thornbury. It's their Hellas Lager.
Oh, yeah, I haven't had that.
Man, it's good. It's good. It's not, it's not the kind of beer you're going to write an essay about, but it is delicious. Holy hell. I was going to say I could drink this all night. I'm about to drink this all night. You drinking anything?
Of course, I'm drinking.
Wait. Can I guess?
Go for it.
Is it your own beer?
Yep, it is.
Is it Grandstand?
It is. How'd you guess?
Well, it's just good beer. I referred 3 people to Grandstand last night at the bar, and they all enjoyed it.
Why, thank you. That's wonderful.
Give me a commission or something. I don't know. Yeah, they were stoked on it. It was really good.
That's great. Check's in the mail.
Of course it is.
I brought home a bottle of Grandstand and a bottle of Bricks and Mortar, our coffee porter, and I started pouring the Grandstand, and Mark snuck into the office and stole the coffee porter from me, so it's his beer now.
I just had this mental picture of Mark sort of doing like a very sort of cartoon-esque, exaggerated sneak, like his hands kind of up in front of his face and like big tiptoes. That's not what happened, was it?
A little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. What am I doing, Mandie? What are we doing? We had all these technical problems. We had catch up to do. We even talked about it earlier today. We have 2 topics. We're going to talk about those. But what else were we going to talk about? You had stuff you wanted to talk about in like catch up, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. Let me pull it up.
I'm doing it too right now.
In the meanwhile, remind me why you weren't able to go to Cast Days. You were traveling somewhere.
Well,
you did something?
Yeah, last episode I was talking about, and I'd done this interview with Austin. I did a couple more, which was kind of cool. So doing some interviews with some brewers. I got 4. I believe the technical term is I have 4 in the can, which sounds either dirty or gross, but what it means is I've got 4 kind of sitting, waiting. I'm just doing some final edits and stuff on them. But these are these videos about beer. And I can tell you, well, I've already given away that I talked to Austin. But these videos are going to be dealing with a variety of different brewing related things. So without giving away anybody else, I will tell you, one of the videos is about lautering, coolo. One of them is about just hops in general and using hops in brewing. Another is about the crowler. Are you familiar with the crowler?
I am.
Yeah. So I talked to somebody who is involved with a brewery that uses crowlers, which was kind of cool. And the most recent, I just filmed... oh, that was last week. I can't keep track of what day it is, but that was last week. Was talking about open fermentation. So if you're a real geek, you can probably guess who I was talking to about open fermentation. Do you want to take a stab at it, Mandie?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll leave it. But those videos are going to be coming out. The problem is there's no hard deadline. Like, I don't owe anybody anything on these, so it makes it hard for me. If somebody said to me, these have to be out on Friday, I would stay up all night on Thursday and get them out. But I don't have that problem. And I work to deadlines more than personal ideals. So hopefully in the next week or two.
But you're a go-getter. You usually set these deadlines for yourself.
I don't know where this myth comes from. You are the third person in 2 days to identify me as a go-getter. I am not a go-getter. I am a go-waiter.
I would never record these podcasts if you didn't stay on top of it.
That's amazing.
Seriously, I would just forget. Like, I wouldn't do it. But you're always asking every week, like, set up a time and scheduling the content.
I guess that is a little go-gettery.
It is, yeah. Got to have it up at a certain time. I don't even get to review them ahead of time because you want to get them up.
It is true. Normally I say, hey, Mandie, I've edited it. I don't think there's anything offensive in it. I'm just going to post it. That is the normal way this goes.
And you're only driven by your own goals in that case.
I guess. Podcasting's fun and it's easy. It doesn't require much. It's good. I get to do other things while I edit it, which helps too. Anyway, I found the bit of the conversation. You said we had a fun time here at Halloween. We could talk about that. How's your Halloween? I had a great Halloween.
So much fun.
Did you dress up as a baseball player?
No, I didn't. I wanted to be Super Polar, so Kevin Pillar dressed up in like a half baseball player, half Superman costume. Mm-hmm. But I didn't find the time to put that costume together, so didn't really dress up much on Saturday. I just went home and grabbed some cat ears and other cat type stuff. Wore it back to the brewery, but we just had a good time around the Halloween holiday in general, not specifically like dressing up and going to a big party and getting wasted. We took a lot of time leading up to Halloween to plan out a variety of beer and candy or beer and Halloween treat pairings.
That's a popular topic.
It was so much fun. It was a really, really good time. Like we just came up with them sort of off the top of our heads at the brewery. We did up all these tasting notes and or tasting sheets. And we tried all these different combinations, and some of them were disgusting.
Yeah, for real.
So gross. Like, pretty much anything with cherry, or at least anything in our lineup with cherry, was nasty. Tasted very medicinal. Like, really reminds you of cough syrup. But there were so many surprises and really cool, fun pairings that you would have never thought would work, and they really worked really well. So we changed all the names of our beers to spooky Halloween names, and we made a special menu that had the suggested pairings, and then when anyone would come in and order a beer, we would just offer them the candy as a free pairing. It was really fun. Really good time.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, and then we carved pumpkins as a team, and we had some really great artists on the team, and it was just really, really a lot of spirit, a lot of fun.
Cool. Did you have any kids come by dressed up and do the old trick or treat?
Yeah, totally. We all the candy that didn't work well as a pairing with any beer, we put in the kid bowl, and then
nice.
Lots of, like, we're a neighborhood brewery. We see tons of families come through. So yeah, we saw lots of kids and lots of trick-or-treaters. It was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about the beer and candy pairing, and as I noted, a lot of people were down with that. I posted Saturday at 8:40 p.m. So I guess maybe the kids were upstairs getting their teeth brushed or something. I posted on Facebook, "Dear every list about pairing beer and candy, I'm eating a mini Snickers and drinking a Canuck Pale Ale. Do they pair? Nope. Do I care? Nope. Nor will the Milk Duds, Maltesers, or Tootsie Rolls. And it will all be awesome."
That's the truth. It all is awesome. Like, it's beer, delicious. Candy or snacks, delicious. So who really cares? But it was
as
just,
you know,
it was a fun exercise for us. We weren't trying to make it into a snobby thing. Hence, we would have used much fancier chocolate and much higher quality stuff. But we just grabbed whatever we thought parents might have at home, like kicking around after Halloween, and tasted it with our beer and suggested what went well. It was really fun.
No, I dig that. And I mean, my thing too, I wasn't eating rockets and I wasn't eating anything even fruit flavored really, or cherry flavored or anything like that. So it's a bit of a different thing. I was just eating chocolate. I just high grade the pile. Like, are there Reese's? Yep, I want those. Are there Snickers? Yep, I'll take those too. Yeah, Halloween for me was mostly the kids. I will say that our neighborhood is like super full of kids, probably, not unlike yours. And the street is just jumping. So we left my mom at home. Grandma did the door and handed out candies to all the little kiddies, and we did the lap with our two. But what I love is, legally speaking, you're not really meant to be drinking in public, but pretty much everybody has a beer or a glass of wine or something in their hand, the parents. And so I cruised out with some cans of Canuck Pale Ale in the pockets of my coat and just enjoyed the beer and enjoyed the festive spirit. It's great when you're in a community full of people that are just it's fun. Like, all the parents are out and, you don't really necessarily know them, but everyone's got the same kind of, outlook. Just
totally a good time. Do you dress up as a dad walking around on Halloween?
Yeah, I mean, I did I dressed up as myself. I actually thought about dressing up as a rugby player because it was the Rugby World Cup final, of course, if you're a sporting fan, as I am. And I actually still had a rugby shirt on, and I thought, all I'd have to do is really tape my ears up and I would look like a forward. But it was kind of cold. I was going to wear a coat. So it was a beautiful night, but it was walking around in like stubby shorts and a rugby shirt. It was going to be a bit chilly, so I didn't do the costume this year.
Fair enough.
Last year I went as what's his name, Yukon Cornelius from the Rudolph movie, because I had the big beard and the mustache. That was a lot of fun.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that was well received. So anyway, moving on. Halloween, a lot of fun for me, a lot of fun for you, it sounds like. You're, of course, now bored as, all get out because, of course, not only are the Jays out of the World Series, but the World Series is actually now over.
Nothing makes me more sad. Like, the Jays being out, shed a few tears, pretty sad. But then just baseball being over in general, so sad. The TVs that we have in the tap room, I'm like, what are we going to do with these all winter long? During the day, it's like darts and poker. These are not sports. Oh, it's so upsetting.
Darts is a sport. Poker, not. Poker's a game, but darts is a sport. Just putting that out there.
Okay, well, we can talk about that at another time.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that here. No, it's just, I was thinking about it. It's amazing, right? Because 2 weeks ago we were talking and we were still hopeful that the Jays would pull it out and would win the World Series. And 2 weeks later, the World Series is over.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Pretty upsetting, but lots to be proud of for our team this year.
Yeah, I think that is the takeaway. We had a really solid team. We're not going to experience that with hockey this winter, so we should soak it up while we got it. Congratulations to the Toronto Beer Podcast. Would like to formally acknowledge and thank the members of the 2015 Toronto Blue Jays on a wonderful season. We really appreciated it.
Especially you, Anthopoulos. We will miss you dearly.
Oh, fuck. I can't even believe you brought
That's
that
it.
up.
I'm done. We're done.
I'm going to even have to beep out a word, too, now. It's awful.
Let's
move on.
Agree to disagree.
Anyway. That was Halloween. That was a lot of fun. And baseball season, over. Also not fun. That's sad. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about something fun. Okay. Pop quiz, Mandie. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just totally hit my mic with my hand. I can't believe that's so unprofessional.
Sounded like
Pop
you popped
quiz,
the bottle.
Oh, maybe I'll keep it as Foley. What did I... No, I have to backpedal. That was going to be such a good question, too. I was going to say, what did I do with Mark for the first time that I hadn't done with anybody else? But that is untrue. The answer to the question was homebrew, and the first person I actually homebrewed with was my buddy Matt, who now lives in London, Ontario. Wonderful fellow. Just broke his femur. Can you believe it?
Ouch.
But he's on the mend. But he was the first person to homebrew with me. This is the worst throw ever to let's talk about homebrewing, which, to be fair, I've homebrewed more with Mark than anybody else.
Me
How
too.
about that? Of course you have. And that's not a euphemism, kids. Mandie means that. She means made beer. I like that you just iced that. I will not dignify that horrible juvenile joke with
Do I ever?
an answer. Yeah, sometimes. Anyway, Mark and I, we did, for those of you who didn't know, and I'll put a link in the old show notes, did a little mini YouTube series called Brewmance. Which is
that was
name.
great. I forgot all about that. That was a lot of fun.
So good. So good.
To watch. I wasn't involved in any other aspect of it, but it was cool.
At that point, actually, I still believed that you genuinely disliked me. So I was still kind of scared of you.
Scared of me.
Yeah, I have a thing with all my buddies' wives that they think I'm a bad influence, and until I kind of break through some sort of a threshold with them, I always am worried that they hate me because I'm the one who makes their husbands make bad decisions. But anyway, Mark and I used to homebrew together. A lot of fun. We had a lot of good times with that. Made some neat beers. Did it with some cool people too. Aaron Spinney, Eric Ecclestone, Ian McCustra. I'm forgetting somebody here. Anyway, I homebrewed yesterday, and we've talked about this on the show. I hadn't homebrewed really this year, but yesterday, for the first time in 2015, I homebrewed. I'm going to go ahead and predict wild success. Wild success.
What did you brew, Chris?
A simple IPA.
Beautiful.
And sometimes, sometimes simplicity is best.
True. Is it an existing recipe that you've done before or something new?
Something new. I can't do an existing recipe because I make such poor notes. There's absolutely no repeatability in my process. We had a lot of fun with it. And this leads, of course, into the first real meaty discussion, which is not just homebrewing exactly, but have you seen this? And I know you've seen it, Mandie, because I sent you the link. The Pico Brew. What do you think?
Sigh.
I'm so glad I threw that on you.
Yeah, I actually haven't watched the Kickstarter video, but for those who are not aware with this Pico, that's how you pronounce it? Pico? Pico? Homebrewing?
I assume Pico, yeah.
It's like the Keurig of homebrewing. So you have a little pod, stick it in a machine, it brews the beer of that style, whatever was in the pod for you. And then the rest of the home brewing process, or the rest of the brewing process, all of the transferring and fermentation, bottling, everything else you sort of need to do on your own, as far as I understand. But this little machine does the job for you. No?
Yeah, no, not quite. I'm just pulling up the info here because I thought I had a tab open, but I don't. You're on the right track. Yeah, they call it like the Keurig of homebrewing, and you put a pod in, and it takes about 2 hours, and then it dispenses it into a fermenter, which comes with the kit.
It dispenses it into the fermenter automatically for you?
Yeah, well, you have to hook it up,
okay.
but it spits it in.
Got it.
And then you age that out for the week, and then you transfer that to a keg, a little 5-liter keg. And then you serve it out of that. Oh, and I'm looking right here on the website. They've got Double Trouble and Duggan's Brewery from Toronto right on the front page of the website, which is interesting for Toronto drinkers, 2 brands we are familiar with. Oh, Flying Monkeys, too. They have a neat little changing slideshow at the bottom. If you check out, it's picobrew.com. Duty sale? Whew. How about that? So, yeah, you don't have to package necessarily.
Sorry, you serve the beer how?
Out of a little 5-liter keg that you have to then have a little mini draft set up for.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So... Oh, Rogue is in there. I shouldn't really be watching this while I'm trying to talk. It's kind of my thinking too. So, I just admitted to not being a great homebrewer. I'm not the best homebrewer in the world, in execution or in results, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy going into real breweries and brewing with real brewers. That's a lot of fun. Mandie, do you like coffee? You got some pretty cool coffee neighbors. You like a good cup?
I do, yeah.
Do you use a Keurig?
I don't, but I'm not a big enough coffee snob to not use a Keurig. I wouldn't own one, but I would certainly use one. I will also buy coffee at Tim Hortons or McDonald's if I need a coffee, and those are the closest places to buy coffee. However, I can appreciate a finely crafted cup of coffee, and I certainly do, and that is my preference. But I'm not much of a coffee snob. I'll drink whatever's available.
I am maybe more of a snob with coffee than with beer.
Yikes.
And I will tell you this. I know. I'll tell you this. I've never once been handed a Keurig cup of coffee or a Tassimo, which is the other, it's like the beta of Keurig. I've never been handed one and drank it and thought, that was a good cup of coffee. Right?
Right.
You know, it's not uncommon to be like, I'm not disgusted by this. It's it's completely palatable. I'm certainly not having trouble convincing my throat to allow the transit of this to my stomach. But certainly I've never been wowed by it. And so right away, funny enough, with knowing nothing about it, before I knew who was involved, who was submitting little packets for the brew, my first reaction was, if you tell me something is the Keurig of something, what you're telling me is what we do is really mediocre. We're going to be the really mediocre option that apparently costs $1,000, although I think you can get in on it right now in the pre-release for like $500. And then it's $30 a packet for a 5-liter mini keg of beer, which is, that's a fair saving compared to, buying it from the shop. But yeah, the instant you say to me, we are the Keurig of anything, I'll go, cool. You know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with the Maserati of that thing. So if you go, hey, we're the Keurig of space travel, I'll go, well, that's great. You guys have a lot of fun burning up in the atmosphere. And I'm going to go with the Maserati of space travel, or I won't because I probably can't afford it. But for me, the marketing right away was just, no, I do not want to be involved with this. But now I'm watching. I just saw Junction popped up on the screen. Propeller is on the screen. They've got some pretty serious brewers who are supplying them with whatever they want to call them. They probably don't call them K-cups or P-cups. P-cups, could you imagine?
Louis Cypher, I see. Danforth's own. Danforth's very own.
You saw that pop up in the little thing along the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
See all kinds of breweries popping up here.
Well, I just saw the granite, but that was the East Coast granite. That's Kevin's granite, not Ron's granite. I think it just flew by me there. But yeah, they got a lot of people involved. So obviously some people who undoubtedly have more experience than me are believers, and you would assume they probably would have tested it before they tied their name to it. But yeah, for myself, I'm not particularly stoked on this. And that's not sour grapes. This is not just a home brewer being like, what I do over 5.5 hours is somehow better than what they claim to do over 2 hours. This is just, I'm very skeptical about the whole technology. Oh yeah, there's Louis Cypher right there.
I tend to agree with you, Chris, but in my earlier description, it's fairly evident that I don't have all the facts. So I'm probably not in a position to provide much of an opinion on it. But what I can see just from looking through their website and the very little that I do know about it is that it seems like this would appeal to the type of person that has the gadget for everything in their kitchen. Like that guy, like that dad that has every gadget known to man. It's one of those like gifting items potentially that what do you get someone? They like beer. They have everything in the world. This could be one of those things. It's like a fun little project to take on at home. And it's not as much about the output as the process. And it's sort of like aside from the cost, which is fairly significant, it seems like a pretty barrier free entryway to home brewing if you are interested in getting started but don't really know where to start.
Yeah, I guess I read some stuff today about it, looking into talking about this. One of the first things that kind of also was concerning in that, they talked about how you can decide what the final alcohol will be, which sounds to me like, the brewery has put together a package or a pod that's designed for a 5% beer, but you can in principle reduce the water involved and make it a 7% beer, which I don't particularly like the sound of. But they were talking, and it was speculative. This was like an editorial on it, that it would be possible, because apparently they have now, like for Keurig, for coffee people, like a refillable K-cup, so you can kind of craft your own K-cup for your own blend or whatever. And they were talking that it's conceivable that this technology would allow you in the format to kind of craft your own recipe. And I think if that happens, I can kind of get on board with it. Because like you say, to a chunk of the population who can afford sort of the entry fee, that might be an interesting way to kind of get into the whole idea of home brewing. But yeah, on the whole of it, this has made the rounds the past few weeks, and multiple people sent me links of it and said, "What do you think? What do you think?" And what I think is, if you want to homebrew, you know what? Come by my place. Give me a ding. I'll show you how you homebrew. Pretty cheap too. A lot cheaper than $1,000 startup, I'll tell you that. If you gave me $1,000, I would have a banging 3-vessel homebrewing setup. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, there's a lot you could do brewing equipment wise for $1,000.
My gosh, my current homebrewing setup is probably $300 total outlay, and that includes a pump.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot of borrowing and stealing in there. No stealing, pardon me, just begging and borrowing. But yeah. Anyway, picobrew.com. We'll obviously put a link to that in the show notes. You take a look at it. You tell us, what do you think? $1,000 plus $30 per 5 liters. I did see 21st Amendment is in the list as well. I'm still watching. A lot of American brewers that I just don't know, but there are like 2,500 of them, so that's not really surprising. Anyway, yeah. Interesting to see how that pans out.
I haven't seen a lot of other Ontarios in there other than the ones you had mentioned, but
yeah, you guys weren't approached,
we shall see. No. At least I hope not. I hope it wasn't one of those emails I rudely ignored.
Just deleted on principle?
Nah.
Do you have an email policy, like a length-based or subject line-based policy, where you just go, nope?
I ignore emails very rarely. I have a 48-hour self-imposed response policy.
Even on the weekends?
Sort of. I don't really take the weekends off.
Yeah, no, that's true. Actually, that's completely true. It was a bit of a stupid question. But other than that, you don't. I know, like, I'll be honest with you here. If you send me a press release, not you, Mandie, you, the listener, you, the potential marketer, and anywhere in my first glimpse, be that the subject line or maybe the first paragraph, you use the word suds to describe the beer, that is getting deleted immediately. I don't care what you're telling me. We want to give you 500 liters of our best suds. Delete. It's gone. And I will never get that free beer because you use the word suds for beer. That is a hard and fast rule in my house.
That makes me want to generate like the worst ever press release just as an ironic joke that uses all of the terrible language.
It would be so easy. Check out who's brewing up a new idea.
I'm totally doing it.
They're fermenting a concept for some suds. I hate it. Our other big piece, and this one, it's funny, I'm trying to think, we get political, I think, most of the time, which maybe goes with the territory of talking about beer in a podcast named the Toronto Beer Podcast. But this was an interesting one, and I will confess, a lot of the time these things happen, and people go, whoa, what happened? And I'm like, yeah, either A, if you were paying attention to the signs, you would have seen this coming, or B, if you're, kind of plugged in, you kind of already knew this was going to happen anyway. This one blindsided me. Absolutely did not see this one coming. Alberta government divides East versus West in the biggest beer tax hike yet.
It's basically Alberta divides Alberta small breweries from rest of Canada.
Mm-hmm. So what we're talking about here, they're getting, I'm just reading here, a graduated tax system. I don't even know what these words mean. A graduated tax system at a blended average of 48 cents per liter on annual worldwide production below 200,000 hectoliters, while other Canadian craft breweries, and this is what's important, previously taxed at the small producers rate, were vaulted into the base tax rate of $1.25 a liter to bring your product in. So Mandie, small brewer, I'm guessing you didn't have, aspiration to be in Calgary next year, but
well, not today, and not necessarily next year, but I wouldn't rule it out. If you, as a small brewery owner in Ontario, if you were going to look at entering any other market in Canada, it would be Alberta, because it's widely known as like the most open market.
The entry once you're there is pretty simple, right?
Yeah, you approach the independent retailers, and if they would like to stock your beer, then you send them beer, and they keep it cold and treat it nicely, and Bob's your uncle.
I've got this again. This is the press release from our friends over at Steam Whistle. They say beer tax legislation. And sorry, to backpedal for a moment, I'm pretty sure Steam Whistle is distributing in Alberta.
They are. Yes, they are.
So the new beer tax legislation will have a dramatic and immediate impact on prices in liquor stores and bars and restaurants. As an example, overnight, Alberta has imposed an additional $6.05 in beer tax per 24 pack of Steam Whistle Pilsner and $37 per 50-liter keg. Just added on. That's insanity.
That's a lot. That's a great deal. It's a huge, huge impact to some of the larger craft breweries in Ontario that are operating in the Alberta market. It generally, like if you look at it from an Alberta centric perspective, it's actually pretty great news for the tiny breweries in Alberta, but it really, really hurts some of the other craft breweries that are starting to expand nationally and that have entered the Alberta market, because I just don't see how their business would be sustainable.
So my thing on this, and again, I actually haven't read a ton of editorializing on it. I read sort of the news stories when it broke, and then I had 2 PRs that came in that I read. The idea here is they're basically, which is actually kind of humorous, they're basically just trying to give a leg up to the local small brewery. That's the idea, right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
But by taxing the shit out of everybody else, it means that the small guy from Alberta gets a bit of a boost. Which, when you consider that the whole point behind Alberta's liquor sales is hands-off government, private, market-driven sales, seems completely out of whack with their ethos. Although I suppose it's fair to point out that Alberta did just recently elect a fairly left-leaning government, so
they did. They have an NDP.
They do have an NDP government.
Is it a majority? I don't know. I'm not sure.
It is a majority. Yeah. Their provincial government. What's her name? Naughton, Andrea Naughton. So this is interesting, and speaking now as a confirmed, publicly outed lefty nut job. I don't know. I understand the concept of promoting local, but I really wonder about this. This seems just, I don't know. It seems crazy to me. And then on top of it, and I don't know if anybody's mentioned this yet, and you've got some stories pulled up, you said, is this even legal? So
that has been called into question in any of the editorial stuff I've read. Is this even legal? I believe, and I'm not sure if this is the case, but I believe that at one point or another, as a member of the OCB, we had been told that it's not a legal thing to do.
Yeah, I don't.
Like by the Ontario government. You're not allowed to.
Yeah. Like literally, the OCB would be aware of this because that would make sense for them to lobby the government to do exactly this type of thing, unless they had sort of a legal opinion saying, "Oh no, you can't. That's anti-competitive." And furthermore, and this is the thing, like I understand tariffs outside of the country, and this is this whole thing we're going through right now with like the Trans-Pacific Partnership and with the European Free Trade Deal that we're trying to work, or we have worked now, where it's completely normal. And again, this just sounds so crazy to say it, but it's completely normal to financially penalize a company trying to sell into your country if they are an offshore company. That's normal. But to do it provincially just seems so counterproductive to almost everything. I just don't understand this. It really leaves me shaking my head. And to be fair, and speaking as a proponent for sort of more accessible choices for everybody, it doesn't leave me shaking my head. It leaves me shaking my fist saying, you guys are idiots. What the hell's the matter with you? I thought the NDP was cooler than this. Maybe they're not.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it feels like a bit of an attack by the large breweries, that I don't want to blame everything on them and all of our woes on them, but they do have lobbying power that we need to always remember how much lobbying power they have. And if you think about the share that they're losing to craft breweries, well, who's eating up the majority of that share? It's the largest craft breweries in the country. And the only way the largest craft breweries in the country are growing their own production and expanding is by expanding their distribution across the country rather than staying in their own local markets.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels a little sneaky that way to me. But I don't know. I'm just speculating.
No, I think you are hitting the nail on the head, because the one that I'm reading has a bit about, where is it here? Meanwhile, Labatt and Molson products have only gone up about 48 cents per 24 pack, because of course they were already being taxed at the higher rate anyway. Mm-hmm. So you are probably exactly right. This is probably a power play.
It just feels a bit sneaky because the PR around it can be all about promoting the growth of local breweries within Alberta, giving them the ability to grow and create jobs and blah, 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 blah. But if you think about the overall impact that this could have, mm-hmm. the larger breweries, especially with Alberta specifically being the easiest and probably most lucrative market to enter for larger craft breweries in Canada that are looking to expand nationally, it just feels like we're sort of being, not we, because my brewery's not trying to expand there right now, but as a collective, we're sort of being blocked from that market in a way.
You are 100% right. That is, I will go on record and say exactly what's undoubtedly happening is, this is a smokescreen to, and it's funny because what it's trying to prevent is, like you say, like the Mill Street, well, not the Mill Streets now, they play under a different banner, but the steam whistles and the Bows and the Amsterdams, the guys who have some deep pockets now.
I feel like I just saw recently that Muskoka was expanding out there. It may have been BC.
Why do I keep doing that? Muskoka is totally one of the biggest in Ontario, and I always do that, and I don't know why. To me, Muskoka is still the sweet little brewery that one of the first times I bought a 12-pack of beer legally as a card carrying 19-year-old was a Muskoka cream ale up at the cottage in Muskoka, because I just thought, man, can you believe this? I'm drinking this beer and it's from Muskoka and I'm in Muskoka. Isn't that crazy? And I think I still just think of them as this cute little brewery up in Bracebridge, and they're not. They're not giant, but they're pretty big for a craft brewery. They're just exploding in growth right now, which is good. Good for them.
They're big, but it doesn't mean they're not sweet, Chris.
Yeah, they are still kind of sweet. I'll give them that. Have you been to the new brewery, the one on what's it, Muskoka Beach? No, Muskoka.
I have.
It's beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I haven't been there since they created the little outdoor patio area where you can enjoy your beer outside, which sounds lovely. I was there, I think, the first year they moved into the larger facility.
Yeah.
But it's impressive. It was shiny and clean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite nice. So because again, I remember going into the brewery when it was still on Taylor Street or whatever.
Me too. It was so lovely. I have the nicest little T-shirt.
Yeah.
It was just the best little place. I loved it.
It was so towny and cute and small and yeah. But they did grow, and
it's too bad breweries in Ontario can't have a second retail location.
Hey, Mandy, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
They can. They can. You can now.
You need to brew
Go
there.
ahead.
You need to brew there.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. I thought that's what you were talking.
No,
I thought
no.
you were throwing to the. You're right. No, you cannot open a retail location.
Right. We can't have offsite retail stores because
not even remotely, because chaos would ensue.
Right. Yeah.
Teenage pregnancy would go up, and the divorce rate, I'm sure, would spike to disgusting levels where maybe 1 in 2 marriages would end in divorce. And
at least.
At least. Why do we live in such a screwed up province? Although Alberta's kind of giving us a living demonstration of the fact that maybe our province isn't that screwed up after all. Because what the hell is the matter with Alberta right now, you idiots? You guys are the guys who elected Nenji, right? You seem so reasonable. And this is what you give us? You're idiots.
I don't get it, but I do think it's pretty sneaky move.
Hey, they all answer. Every provincial government answers to the big dollars. And certainly in Alberta, the biggest dollars are not the big brewers, but the big brewers do have deep pockets. And, money talks, right? Like that song. Who's that? Is that Neil Diamond? Yeah, Forever in Blue Jeans. Yeah. Money talks, but it don't. Sing and dance and something.
This is not going well.
Oh, that is such a classic line. Come on, Neil Diamond. Forever in Blue Jeans. It's amazing. What do you got, guys? What do you guys got going on? You got something coming up? Anything happening at the old left field in the next, say, 2 or 4 weeks?
2 to 4 weeks. Not exactly. On Sunday, I jump on a plane to run away from the brewery for the first time since we created it, I guess.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That's right. You're taking your first vacation as brewery owners.
Yeah. Jason Fisher told us it would take a lot longer, but we're just trying to prove him wrong because we like to do that.
Sticking it to Jason Fisher is a noble pursuit, and I 100% endorse any time you can say, hey, Jay, fuck you. Do it. Because he loves it. He loves it.
He does, yeah. He does it himself, so it's great.
Yeah.
So that is just about the only thing on my mind right now is running away from the brewery. And
where are you guys going? Someplace hot, I hope?
Yeah, we're going to Puerto Vallarta in Mexico.
Which didn't just get leveled by a hurricane as predicted.
It did, yeah.
It got hit by a hurricane. It didn't get leveled.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I had friends who were in. I had 2 different sets of friends actually in Puerto Vallarta when Patricia made landfall. So, but well, that's cool. That's exciting. Yeah. Drink some rum-based beverages and.
Looking forward to it. Eat some tacos and then eat some more tacos.
And then drink and
drink
then
some more.
Maybe
some more check tacos. My email once in a while. And
no, don't do that. That's crazy.
Have a nap. It'll be nice.
Cool. I got nothing.
Yeah, that's it. I got nothing. I just want to go.
Coming up right now. I might go out and hang out with Eric Ecclestone, friend of the show. He is. Guy. Oh my gosh, that guy.
Spent some time with him at Cast Days. Always good to catch up.
He was down for Cast Days.
Yes, he was.
This guy's an ass. I've got tools that I'm going to lend him on long-term lend for his shop. And I can't believe he didn't at least take a bandsaw with him or something when he was down here. What a guy. But love Eric, so I might go out and hang out with him in Brantford for a day or 2 this week, or this month. Yeah, other than that, nothing happening. Kids are in school and trying to do more stuff around beer. Podcast. This will be up in the next day or so. Tomorrow, as we're recording, which might be the day this comes out, is a notable day. Mandie, do you know why?
Tomorrow is Thursday, November 5th. No, I don't know why.
remember the 5th of November. It's Guy Fawkes Day, but more importantly, it is the simultaneous birthdays of two wonderful brewers in the province of Ontario, the Misters Ryan Morrow and Sam Corby. Ryan, of course, of Nickelbrook, and Sam of Sawdust City. And every year they produce a beer for their birthday. And the only stipulation is that its starting gravity has to be 1.105, which is giant.
That's right. That's so much fun. I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah, they're always like 11% barley wines or triple IPAs and stuff. So tomorrow, 5th of November, they're launching it. I can't remember where. It's probably on the internet somewhere. Probably somewhere really cool that I don't get to go because it's a Thursday. But if you're around and you want to go check that out, remember the 5th of November. Oh, and I can't believe I just remembered this, the end of the podcast. But I did a really cool thing today. Do you want to know what I did?
Yes, I do, Chris.
I offset the Toronto Beer Podcast for 1 calendar year. This is a carbon-free podcast now. We are technically Bullfrog powered at the Toronto Beer Podcast now. How do you like that?
I love that because our home is Bullfrog powered, and we eventually hope to be able to do it with our business as well. But how does that even apply to a podcast that just... Do we have a carbon footprint to begin with? We
do, because you and I are both sitting at computers that are sucking up power right now.
Yeah, but I do it from my home, and it's already Bullfrog powered.
Well, then we're going above and beyond.
Oh, look at that!
Because what I did when the friendly guy came to the door today and hit me up to go Bullfrog power, which I 100% support and endorse, but we're in a tricky rental situation. And he said, well, there are other options. And we were talking about some of the other options. And he said, you can just offset like your computer or your stove. And I was like, wait a minute. I can offset my computer? And he was like, yeah. I was like, if I gave you guys the offset for 2 computers, could I then say that the podcast we're recording tonight is powered by Bullfrog Power? And he was like, yeah, 100%. So I did it. I paid the money. I got the receipt in my email. Our podcast, the TorontoBeerPodcast.com, now 100% Bullfrog powered. Check them out, bullfrogpower.com, I believe is their URL. I maybe should have looked this up before I said it, but you can find them. Google them, Bullfrog Power. Wonderful way to offset your energy with renewables, which we in Ontario have no excuse not to use. Ontario is blessed with a multitude of renewable energy resources, which we can tap into. So you guys are Bullfrog powered at home. That's great. Podcast, Bullfrog powered. We would just like to say Toronto Beer Podcast supports Bullfrog Power. I feel like I got paid to do that. But I actually paid to do that. This doesn't make any sense at all.
That's how good their marketing is.
Anything else happening in the wonderful world of beer that we should know about?
I'll have all kinds of stuff in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you guys just did a kettle sour. Don't want to talk about that in case you're not wanting to talk about it. But
yeah, we can't talk about it until we know that it's going to be a delicious beer that we want to send out into the market and not dump down the drain.
Yeah, because sometimes kettle sours are just absolute disasters, but
right,
it does happen.
When it's your first, so we'll see.
Okay, watch out. Left Field Brewery going on vacation, so while the cats are away, the dogs will play or something like that.
No, not the brewery's not on vacation. Our tap room and bottle shop open every day, noon to 9. Please come by, buy beer, drink in the tap room, hang out. We have lovely people there that would love to serve you some beer. They'll spend a lot of time with you and hang out and show you around. So please come by, but Mark and I will be gone.
I can confirm those are some lovely people at the brewery tap room. Aside from that, if this goes up, check out the Sawdust Nickelbrook beer, and we'll talk to you in like 2 weeks. Fully losing Mandie here. Can't hear a thing she's saying, so hopefully she's not talking right now. Nope, she isn't. Okay, great. I don't know. Talk to you in about 2 weeks, Toronto. Thanks for listening.